What is up, Van Fam? It's Ben Price with Vamonos Vans back at you again today with another video. And today we've got a van tour. This is a very exciting van tour for me because this is something that I've been working on for a really long time. Pretty much since we started building custom vans for Vamonos, this is something that I've wanted to do and had a big passion for. So yes, I'm going to be showing you around this one particular van. But there's a lot more than here than just one particular van. I could be very mysterious about it, and I could allude to it and tell you that you got to keep watching the video, but I know that you're going to. That's why you're here. So you've probably already seen in the thumbnail and the title that this is a professional level DIY van. And instead of just teasing more about it, let's go show you. Meet Base Camp. Okay, so real quick, before we jump into the van, I want to talk about why this van is so special, what makes it a professional DIY kit, and why is Vamonos Vans focusing on this?
Hey, Editor Ben here. Forgot to mention that this van is actually for sale. Yes, you can buy the individual components to make your own DIY kit, but this van that we are touring today is actually also for sale. Link in the description. Go check that out if that's something you're interested in. Okay, back to the video.
Well, first of all, it comes down to our mission statement as a company. And that mission statement is to make van life more accessible, high quality, and affordable. And that last one is key. I don't really think anyone is under the illusion that it is not an expensive hobby to get into, but that middle component of our mission statement, the high quality part, often does not equal affordability, especially when you are paying professionals to put it together for you. There's no way around it. If you want something built well, it's going to be built by professionals who are at the top of their industry and know that they deserve to be paid well. And of course, that then means that the price for the customer is going to be very high. This is simple economics. I think we all understand how that works. And because of that, I've actually found out in recent market research that 80% of van lifers are DIYers. And the more I started thinking about it, the more it made sense. Of course, everyone wants to get into this lifestyle, but it's actually only a very few people who can afford to have professionals build it and do it right, take time and build something that's going to last in environments that change rapidly in a metal box that's just constantly vibrating. Believe it or not, that is hard to do well and affordably. So what a lot of people do is they end up DIYing, of course. But if we've already established that the only way to get a really good, high quality, durable, long lasting, well performing van is to pay top of their game professionals top dollar, then it stands to reason that DIYers with very little to no experience of building anything like this are not going to do a high quality job. And that's a problem as well. And then let's address that first component of the mission statement, accessibility. Now, we have a lot of people accessing van life right now, and that is through a broad spectrum of people paying top dollar for brand new vans, the best builders, all the way down to people buying budget vans and doing very budget DIY builds. Nothing inherently wrong with this, but as a company, we are trying to be here. Yes, of course, we're trying to make money as a company, but we want to do that by bringing value to the customers, right? And that's the whole purpose of our mission statement. Our goal for being here is making van life more accessible, high quality, and affordable. So how do our kits, this base camp build, this prototype professional DIY kit, how does this solve those three problems? Okay, we'll go in order this time. So accessibility. Yes, anyone can go to Home Depot, buy screws, paint, lumber, some tools, all that kind of stuff. But as we've previously established, that is hard. And there are some people that want to do that. They want to go through all of the work of costing everything out, going and researching exactly how much of what types of lumber and how many screws and the lengths, and buying paint and primer and sandpaper and all this kind of stuff. So the first thing that we are doing to make van life more accessible, don't want to go through the rigmarole of planning the entire project for you, is that we're taking care of that planning part, right? And the engineering part. We have done all of the work, all of the CAD designing. We figured out how it's all going to get cut out, how it's going to get bent, how it's going to get riveted together, how it's going to get attached to the van, how glue goes in between different layers of the subfloor. We've thought of everything. We've got the material lists. You can even buy all of the materials from us. We have figured it all out. All you have to do is be able to buy the components and you have access. The other part of the accessibility problem with van life is you're not just required to figure out the whole project plan. You need the tools, you need the space, and you need the know-how. Like we talked about earlier, if this is your first time ever trying to do something like this, the likelihood that it's going to be a really, really good result is pretty slim. No offense, that's just how experience and learning and growth works. So if you got all the materials, but you don't have the tools, you don't have the space, or you don't have the know-how, you're still kind of stuck. So with our systems, again, we figured all of that out. Not only have we figured out the materials and the shapes and everything, we have CNC machines programmed to cut everything perfectly, exactly the same every time. And all of the fasteners, that is to put pieces together, to put cabinets together with each other, and then to attach everything that we're building to the vehicle. All of that has been planned out. Hardware will be provided, and it can be done so with simple hand tools, no specialty tools, no specialty training required. Now, to address the second component of the mission statement, high quality. Well, we already kind of started talking about that, right? Because everything in here is already planned and engineered as to how it's going to go together and get attached. So we're taking some of the quality problems out just by predetermining for you, the end user, how you're going to do all of that. And we've made sure that, of course, all of those things are up to snuff. The other part of that is really comes down to the materials that we're using. If you followed us, you already know this. If you're new here, then I'm excited to tell you that the core material that we work with, not the only one, but the main material that we work with in our cabinetry and our furniture is actually aluminum. I'll show you a little bit more as we go inside the van, but our cabinets are done with sheet aluminum, and then our furniture is done with welded square tube. And aluminum, whether it's sheet or it's square tube, most people are a little afraid to start working with it because it's metal. Wood is just a lot easier to work with. It's a little bit more forgiving. The tools can be cheaper. The material is definitely cheaper. But if we're really focused on that high quality aspect of our mission statement, for a lot of the things that we're building in here, wood has some pretty serious and inherent problems with it. The number one problem with wood is weight. There are varying types of plywood, of course, and some of them weigh less, some of them weigh more. Generally speaking, and if you guys want, let me know down in the comments, I will do an entire video all on plywood and the difference between all of them and what that means for van building. But essentially, the heavier the plywood is, yes, the stronger it's going to be, but the more it's going to rob your vehicle of performance. Now, I can already hear a bunch of people in the comments talking about the GVWR, or the gross vehicle weight rating, and they say, well, I've got this many thousands of pounds that I can carry around. Why would I be worried about adding a couple sheets of plywood? Contractors do that all the time. And my response to that is go for it. If you've got the room in your GVWR, right, you just want to load it up and just creep as close to that number as you possibly can, your vehicle's still going to run. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to just not move. It's not going to blow up immediately. But what I can guarantee you is that regardless of what your GVWR is and how close you are to it, the more weight that you add to the vehicle, the less fuel economy you get, whether it's gas or diesel. And I can hear even more people in the comments chiming in and saying, well, I'll just upgrade the suspension so that I can up my GVWR. Unfortunately, your brakes don't care, your tires don't care, your fuel efficiency doesn't care, and your entire drive line, so your engine, your transmission, a transfer case if you've got one, axles, differentials, all of those things wear faster with more weight. That is just physics. So for comparison, the majority of the industry uses 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. which is very strong. It's very dimensionally stable compared to the others, but it's still heavy. The aluminum that we're using for our cabinetry is a 0.10 inch, so 1/10 of an inch thick, 5052 alloy. That tends to be about 40% lighter per square inch than 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. Now, weight is just one problem that comes with plywood. There's two others. The first problem is heat or just temperature, and the second problem is moisture. So when we're talking about temperature as a problem with wood, wood is a organic material. It's got fibers to it that hold everything together. That's what the structure is. And those expand and contract with heat. Now, of course, different types of plywood will expand or contract more or less. Baltic birch being one of the more stable ones, meaning it doesn't expand and contract as much, but it absolutely still does. And there's definitely some people watching this video that are very sensitive to like high-pitched repetitive noises like clicks or squeaks or ticks. A lot of times in vans, what causes those repetitive noises from the vibration going down the street is slight gaps between wood pieces that have been created by either expansion or contraction. And that's something that is unavoidable strictly because everything that we're building goes inside of a metal box, which is highly reactive to ambient temperature changes. So in a single day, the interior of the van could fluctuate 10, 20, maybe even 30 degrees or more in extreme conditions. That is a lot of temperature change for all of your cabinetry and all of your furniture to be going through. And that is absolutely going to cause gaps to form and or disappear, which is why over different seasons or different times of day, you might hear different noises coming from your all wood build. Every material everywhere is somewhat to a degree sensitive to temperature and will expand and contract with heat and cold. But we of course are looking to minimize how much that changes. Now, aluminum, while it is very conductive of heat, which means it can heat up and cool down very quickly, very easily, does not have the same physical structure as wood, and therefore much, much more dimensionally stable, even compared to Baltic birch plywood. Okay, so that's weight, temperature. Let's talk about moisture. If you are building a van, you undoubtedly have at some point thought about moisture problems. That may have come when you started thinking about insulation, and maybe you're thinking about vapor barriers and preventing rust. That might come when you are doing your floor and you're trying to choose a waterproof floor. Or it could come when you have finished all of your cabinetry, you're putting plumbing in, you go to turn it on the first time, a fitting flies apart, and now you are spraying water all over your brand new wood cabinets. They are fully glued and screwed, painted and polyed, bolted and mounted to the van. It's going to be a hassle to take those cabinets out. You better pray you don't get any kind of water damage and worst, rot or mold, because A, it wasn't either prepped correctly, sealed correctly, or cleaned correctly. If you do like most people and you build the case of your cabinets in very strong with the rest of your van and other things are bolted into those, if you end up in this scenario where you have water damage on the inside of a wooden cabinet, you have to disassemble everything to get that wooden cabinet out of there and replace it. Now, of course, with aluminum, that's not a problem. Aluminum doesn't care about water. You can spray it, you can submerge it. There may be a little oxidation, but this is not gonna rot. It's not gonna mold. It won't rust like steel. It's lighter. It's vibration proof. I don't know how many more benefits I can give you guys for aluminum. So combine that material with our engineers, our CNC machines, and some pretty clever use of hardware. We've got a really strong, durable, simple, and professional kit that's gonna go together quickly, easily, the way that you want it to. And you're gonna do what you wanted to begin with when you started building a van, which was get out on the road and start adventuring. So all of that is why I am so excited for this van. The layout might be similar if you've seen some of our other videos, and there's not that much new fancy about the layout. We don't believe in Swiss Army vans. We like things that are simple and just work. So this may not be the most exciting, groundbreaking, creative van tour that you've ever seen. And we kind of like it that way because most people don't need that. Most people need something that will just work, it will last, and it is not going to bankrupt them. So if all of that sounds good to you, you're not completely bored, you're still watching, and it sounds like something that you would like to put in your van, let me give you a couple details on what that process looks like, and then I swear we're gonna get inside and I'll show you around. So if you are like every other client that we've ever worked with, you don't want anything exactly the same as someone else had it. You want to design, customize your van to fit your taste, your lifestyle, as you should. And we designed for that in mind. What you're gonna see in here are a bunch of modular pieces. So this is pretty much fully decked out as far as the layout. We can definitely add more features and appliances and all that kind of stuff. The point of this van right here is to be essentially a jumping off point. You can build up from here, you can scale down from here, but this is, you know, right in the middle of the road. This is gonna satisfy most people. And then if there's something extra here, take it off. If you need something extra, we'll work with you to figure out how to add it in. But the point is this is the base that should serve the majority of van lifers out there. So you are not stuck to this layout. We'll talk as we go through what you can mix and match and move around and change. And don't fret, we are coming out with models for the other vans, Ram ProMaster, Ford Transit. We've actually been talking to a bunch of people about the Chevy Bright Drop. Really excited about that. Leave a comment below if you want to see Chevy Bright Drop builds. Let the people know. We are launching with just these components, so for the time being, just right now, it is the Sprinter 144, but don't worry, we're already working on the 170 and other models of vans. They're coming very soon, so just like this video, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss when those come out. So you will be able to buy all of these components on our website, or just one or two, right? It'll be a la carte. You do not have to commit to a full kit, and you don't have to commit to any of the finishes. Of course, this is a show van. We've finished everything in here with powder coat and paint and all that kind of stuff. Everything will get shipped from our warehouse to you unfinished. So the aluminum in here will be raw aluminum when you get it. Any wood components will be raw wood components. That way you can paint, stain, laminate, powder coat, vinyl wrap, anodize, whatever you want to do, you can do it to make your van look exactly like you want. So I think I've rambled enough and decreased my retention rating on this video probably as much as possible. So for the few of you that are still left that really want this kit, I'm excited for you. Let's go show you how it works. All right, so starting here on the outside of the van, let's just talk about a couple of the exterior accessories. Again, you're not committed to these. We can go up or down from here. On this particular van, we did a slider door window with its own sliding window from Van Windows Direct. We've been working with them exclusively for all of our windows in our van builds, and we love them very much. Similarly, we've got Van Windows Direct windows here in the back. These ones are fixed. I believe that they do have slider options these days as well, which are really cool for ventilation. We also have 400 watts of solar up top and a max fan. Coming inside, we are going to hop right into the kitchen, and you'll notice the ever familiar Isotherm 130 Cruise drawer. This has got to be the most popular van life fridge in existence. And if you haven't seen it, we've got a big drawer down here with a couple pockets for drinks and the sort. We have another tray in the fridge area, and then we've also got a freezer up top that actually is a decent size. You can put ice cream in here and have room for something else. Compared to a lot of the other DC fridges where I feel like it's this little slim pocket and you can maybe just fit an ice pack in there, and that's about it. Good luck with anything else. And that fridge is sitting in our fridge module. So like I talked about before, this whole build out is modular in nature, and I'll talk about which modules or what the modules are, how you can mix and match. So right here, we've got our Isotherm 130 fridge module. We've got a drawer on top of it with soft close hinges. So all of this is one assembly, not including the countertop. We'll get back to that in a second. And then right here, we've got a bank of 4 drawers. That is also one assembly. We've got a mirrored section right next to it. And then if we step in and come around, you can see we've got one more bank of drawers right here. And then we have our sink module. And each one of these modules is going to be available separate for purchase. You can mix and match the order as you see fit. Each one of these modules is comprised of a couple different pieces of sheet aluminum that were cut out on our CNC plasma with bent flanges, pre-drilled holes for rivets to give the cabinet case its structure. For things like drawer slides, on the aluminum, we've pre-drilled holes and included threaded inserts. And those match up with the drawer slides, so all you have to do is find the appropriate hardware, use a simple screwdriver, mount those drawer slides to the side panel of that cabinet, put your drawer assembly together, and Bob's your uncle. Before we figured out this method, drawer slides were a headache. Anyone who's ever built drawers from scratch knows that drawer slides can be a nightmare if they are not perfectly level, perfectly parallel, and aligned correctly. The drawer just doesn't work correctly, and it can be a nightmare if you are not skilled and patient at troubleshooting and figuring out what's going on. So now that all of this is designed in the computer, we can lay out all of the holes ahead of time, guaranteeing that everything is going to be lined up the way that we want and the way that you want when you install yours. So if you were to get this fridge module, you would get all of the aluminum pieces pre-cut, pre-bent, threaded inserts attached, but they'll all be flat packed, and you will receive them, like we said, raw aluminum with all of that fabrication part done. All you need to do is line up holes, send some rivets through some pre-drilled holes, and then, like I said, find your hardware for those drawer slides to mount those. Everything will come with detailed instructions so that you can put it together for yourself. And if you absolutely need, of course, you can always email, text, call us. We will help you through the process. So that process of, the raw aluminum panels, rivets, threaded inserts, screws, essentially, that is going to be the same for not only all of your lower cabinets in the kitchen, but your upper cabinets as well. Now, these are much simpler. We don't have drawer slides, and they are much smaller. So these tend to go together a little easier, but still, plenty of consideration. So just so you can see these, how they work, we right now use a push to open latch. And then in here, you can see a little bit more of that aluminum construction. We've got the side panels. The back and the top are left open for weight savings and simplicity. We've got a bottom, and then we've got our face to tie everything together and give it structure. And then you'll see we also have pre-drilled mounting holes so you can attach this to your walls and your van. And then, of course, we've got our doors, which are held up by gas struts using some nice Blum hinges, which comes down and closes with a nice push to latch action. And we just do the same to open it up again. Each one of these units are about 18 inches wide, and they will be available for purchase individually. So you could just get one, you could get 3 to match the kitchen here. You could run this all the way down the side of the van if you so choose. Now over on this side, we have a slightly different sized upper cabinet, and that is to fit in the doorway space, but also to house our EcoFlow. Now, again, if you've followed us, we are obsessed with the EcoFlow power kits. We'll get into the EcoFlow power kit in another video that deserves its own video for sure as far as how it fits in the van. But just pointing out that this is the power plant that we use. If you decide to use your own Renogy, Rich, Lithionics, Battleborn, Victron, whatever, you are more than welcome to do that. Since the EcoFlow Power Kit has come out, this is the only kit that we have recommended to install. Every single one of our customers has loved it. We've had no complaints, no returns, and no issues. You can see up here, we've also got our water gauges for fresh water in a gray water tank. although we will not be supplying these gauges anymore. I've never been a fan of these gauges. Sometimes we just get them and they just don't work. But they are, if anything, not accurate. Luckily, EcoFlow has released, I don't have it installed on this one, but has released the Power Link, which allows us to put a bunch of different types of sensors and relays and all that kind of stuff connected to this. And then if that were connected, we would actually be able to see our water tank level sensors on the screen right here, which is really nice. Definitely a better user experience, certainly a better installer experience. So we'll be offering that for tank monitoring moving forward. This system is just like any other off-grid system in that it gets charged 3 ways. One being shore power, which of course comes from marine. In vans, it's just the grid, right? Plugging in with an extension cord. The second way is through the alternator. Lastly, you've got solar. And of course, that's the one thing that everyone wants to ask is, can I put solar on it? And the answer is yes. Solar power is absolutely one of the easiest parts of van building in 2025 and moving forward. So if you have to ask, yes, we can put solar on it, no problem. Now, while we're in here, I do want to address one more thing that we're very proud of, and that is this little button right here. The button itself isn't all that special. These are pretty ubiquitous and everywhere in all van builds, but it's what this button does that is very special and we're very proud of. So I'm going to just turn that off for a second, and we'll come back over here to our drawers, and we can see all of these open and close really nicely, right? Regular soft close hinges on all of those. But as you can imagine, if you've never been in a moving van and you have no kind of latching system for your drawers, well, if you fill these up and they're nice and heavy and you go take a nice strong turn, well, then all of a sudden you've got every single drawer opening, making a ton of noises, probably breaking things. It's not a good time. So that is why we installed this little switch right here. If I do that, you probably heard a nice click. If I come back over here and try to open the same drawers, well, I can't do it now. I could probably break the drawer before I was able to open it. And that is because this button, this magical little button right here, turns on electromagnets behind every single one of these drawers, but within reason, locks all of our drawers down. So there's no chance of those popping open while we're driving and damaging something. But wait, I know there's someone in the comments saying, what if I want to get in there while my partner is driving? I need a snack right now and I can't wait until we pull over. Well, that is why the switch is so accessible. All you have to do is get up, come over here, unlock it. Of course, the driver is going to be going very slow and safe so no one gets hurt while you grab your snack. But then you finish, you come back up here, you lock it all down, and you return to your seat. Now, I will say, as nice as this is and as proud of it as we are not requiring our customers to be buying this option. Of course, it is a little pricier, and there is some wiring that you'll have to figure out. We'll help you, of course. But if you don't want to go with the electromag, no problem. We have regular old tension ball catches that the RV industry has been using for years. They are definitely strong. Many companies use these. They're just not quite as strong as our electromags. Will do the job, not quite as cool. Okay, so lastly, let's just talk about these countertops here. As you buy these individual modules, they come priced out with a bamboo countertop. Now, if you buy just this fridge cabinet by itself, it will come with a countertop right up to the edge of that cabinet. If you want to buy all 3 of these units and have one continuous countertop, you'll reach out to us, let us know what your order is, say, hey, that's all going to be one. Can you please make sure that the countertop is the appropriate size? We'll go ahead and set that up for you. Now, for the keen viewer, you will have remembered that I condemned 3/4 inch plywood a little earlier in the video. And you might be saying, well, hey, Ben, that sure looks like a 3/4 inch bamboo plywood countertop. And I would say you are right. Good catch. And I believe I said it before, but I'll say it again. We do love aluminum as our core material, but it is not the perfect material for everything. Aluminum does not make a good countertop. Now, we do have bamboo here. We can also do birch. We typically don't do butcher block or slab for weight consideration. But what we have done to continue using 3/4 inch ply for our countertop, but mitigate that weight issue, we can show it to you a little easier here on our table. But if we go underneath, you'll see all of these hexagon pockets. And if you don't know, then you should know that hexagons are the bestagons. And that is because they are the lightest and strongest geometric shape naturally occurring in nature. Of course, naturally occurring in nature. So we've implemented pocketing out any of our extra heavy material with these hexagons, because the material that's left that creates that actual hexagon shape, that's still 3/4 inches thick. So that allows us to keep the strength and the rigidity of it while we remove the material in the middle, removing that weight. So I can't quite show you the bottom of our countertops because there's a bunch of stuff in the way, but on the underside of any of these flat sections, we've pocketed those out to keep them light.
All right, Editor Ben back here again. A couple more things I forgot to mention while I was filming. First is that this van comes with a portable plug-in induction cooktop. That's why you didn't see anything built into the countertop. The reason why we decided to do that is, again, just listening to our customers and what they want. For the last year or so, almost no one has wanted a built-in cooktop. Everyone wants a portable option so that they can have more counter space or cooking space, depending on what they need in that moment. Second thing that you will not see in this tour video, but it absolutely can be included, is a toilet. We don't have any dedicated space for that. Again, just listening to our customers, a lot of people don't even want a toilet in their van, just not something that they're planning on using. So we still, our favorite in-house is going to be that emergency composting hybrid toilet. Link in the description, or you can click up here to watch that video. But in this particular van, the space for that is going to be underneath the sink. If you want dedicated space for it, you can either modify our kits or wait until we have a dedicated toilet option. And with that, back to the video.
We do also have an option to pocket out a strip for under cabinet accent lighting. Again, not required. And similar to our countertops being wood, because in this particular section, wood is the correct material, you would have also noticed that we have wood in our drawers. And this is Baltic birch. This is a 1/2 inch Baltic birch, which is not the industry standard. And we thought even for a long time about building our entire cabinet carcasses out of 1/2 inch, because this 1/2 inch is actually lighter than the aluminum that makes the core cabinet. So we said, well, if that's lighter, why are we using aluminum to build the casing of the cabinet? Well, that's of course when we went back to the heat and moisture considerations. Even though the wood here, this 1/2 inch, is lighter than the aluminum, we're still worried about expansion and contraction and then moisture damage. So why wood in the drawers and on the countertop, but not in the case? Well, we already started talking about that, right? If there's going to be water damage anywhere, the worst part, the most expensive part to replace is going to be the cabinet case. And that is what's most likely going to get that damage, either from, water running on the floor, getting soaked up into the bottom of the countertop, or in the case of a sink, a pipe bursting, and then everything is, going all over the cabinet, but then sinking down to the bottom. We're typically not going to run into water damage issues with a drawer unless something is spilled in that drawer and causes that damage, at which point drawer slides are designed to come out. So this entire drawer can come out within a couple seconds, and we can rebuild a single drawer or a couple drawers a lot faster, a lot more affordably than we can disassemble and remove an entire kitchen cabinet and rebuild that and reinstall that from scratch, right? This is a couple hours to fix. This is a couple days to fix, if not more. So the cost of maintenance and repair was absolutely a part of that decision. And also, of course, we put things in our drawers, often even metal things like this silverware set we've got right here. Those in an aluminum drawer are absolutely going to make a ton of noises. But simply just by having wood, we damp a lot of the noise and vibration that can happen inside. So that is a quality of life choice as well. The last driving decision to make the drawers and doors wood is cost, right? We want to make things high quality and we want to make it affordable. There is a significant more amount of wood in here considering all of the drawers and doors. If that were to all be aluminum compared to wood, the cost of all of this would go up significantly. It would also make a lot of noise, right? We've got the quality of life issue. So to maintain high quality, affordability, a good use case for our customers, right? We want everyone to actually enjoy using it. We decided that wood is the correct choice for doors and drawers. Now, I have definitely seen people do aluminum drawers and doors. We've played with it. We've experimented it. We didn't think that was the right choice, but that's not to say that we are the only ones that can decide this. So if you feel differently and you think that we should make our doors and drawers out of aluminum, drop a comment. Let us know down below what you think. Okay, so next up, let's talk about our floor. I've kind of been showing it on camera, but I haven't talked about it yet. Our flooring system has to be one of the simplest to install. It'll come to you pre-cut off the CNC. It comes with the subfloor material, which is a 1/2-inch Baltic birch, and the insulation pre-adhered to it in 3 pieces. So the whole floor of the entire van is just 3 pieces. Each one of those is laminated with the foam insulation and the subfloor. And they are assembled in a way that they go together in a specific order as a puzzle. So you cannot mess it up. The floor will only go together one way. And the absolute best part about this feature, I can't show you in this build, but I'll throw a picture up on screen, is that the foam underneath all of this is actually cut on the CNC to match the ribs of the floor. So we don't have to worry about leveling out all of the unevenness of the floor before we put this in. We simply open up the doors, make sure everything's clean, squirt some glue down, put the first panel in, squirt some glue down, put the second panel in, put some more glue down, put the third panel in, and your subfloor is done. On this particular van, we decided to go with a 2Tech2 flooring from Campervan HQ. Super nice. It comes pre-cut to all of the correct shapes and dimensions. So like even our cutout here was cut for us. That's another product that just goes down with glue. Really simple, really fast, and easy for anyone to install well and correctly. You can see we've also got down here trim pieces to make the edges of the floor look pretty. And we've got our custom 3D printed corner caps for this common stair edging. And that is so you don't have to miter the corner of the stair trim here to make a really nice finish. You can if you want, but in our experience, we ended up getting a lot of really pointy, sharp corners, and it's not something that we want when we're hanging out in our van walking around with bare feet, especially for DIYers that don't have really high level fabrication skills. Sometimes getting a nice mitered corner can be really, really, really difficult. So instead, you can just cut square ends, glue this guy in place, and Bob's your uncle. And just so you can see it, we've got it here in the back of the floor as well. After talking about the floor, we might as well talk about the walls and then the ceiling. Both of these kits are going to be fairly similar in that we have an aluminum furring strip option to create more structure, make it easier for you to sink screws and secure your walls and or cabinets too. That is going to be for both the walls and the ceiling. Throw some photos up there so you guys can see those. And then both the wall and the ceiling panels are cut on our CNC router with 1/4-inch Baltic birch plywood. 1/4-inch is really light. It's still got a ton of dimensional stability, and it can be finished a number of different ways: polyed, paint, stain. Here in our shop, we're probably moving away from paint because it takes a long time, it's messy, it can be really inconsistent in results. So we are actually moving towards doing laminate. So if you get a build done by us and you would like a color on your walls or ceiling, it's probably going to end up being a laminate. Now, we did something a little special with our ceiling here. Very common in vans these days to include a slat ceiling. However, that's traditionally done with one backer board that's all painted black, and then a bunch of slats that are cut to width. The black backer board goes up, and then our slats get glued and pin nailed to the backer board. It's going to be kind of hard to show on video, but this is actually all one piece. Now, I will say that this was a one-off. We wanted to experiment with this in-house. This was a lot to work with, and there is some nuance to it, especially when installing. So we will not be releasing this just yet in our kits. If you get a ceiling kit from us, it's going to be a solid flat Baltic birch. If you want to put slats on it, then you can absolutely do that and use that 1/4-inch as your backer. Similar for the walls, we've done some slat walls in-house using this technique, but it is a lot of extra work. It doesn't entirely meet our mission. So for the time being, walls again are also going to be just flat, solid Baltic birch. And probably a good time to mention lighting. We have 12-volt LED strips, specifically cob strips. They don't have the individual little diodes of light that you can see. They're much more like a straight line. It's just a better quality of light. It looks a little bit nicer than looking at a bunch of little dots. You can also buy those from us. Again, just as mentioned, we will not have slats pre-done in the ceiling panels so that you can design your own lighting however you feel. While we are talking about lighting, we may as well just talk about the switches. We have push to operate switches with a rotating dimmer. So again, you can see both my hand. I can push to turn them on and off, and then twist it to dim. And we're going to be able to control both our under counter light and our under cabinet light with these light switches over here that operate the same way: push to turn on or off, and then rotate to dim. Last but not least, up in the ceiling, we've got a good old traditional max fan. Not much special there to talk about. We always do the deluxe model. It's not that much more, but you get an automatic open and close. You got the remote, you got 10 speeds in and out. It's just a much better unit. While we're talking about walls and ceiling, I'll go in the back and talk about them here, but I'll show you this one as well. This one might be a little harder to see, but it's almost kind of the point. We actually cut our own foam trim panels here in-house on the CNC router. So we've got one here covering up a couple bolts that are sticking out from the sliding door. Now we'll go around back and I'll show you what we got going on over here. Okay, so we're in the back of the van, and you can see we've got these trim pieces right here. And this, again, as I just said, this is all foam that's been cut out on our CNC router to match the shape of the back doors here. We've got 3 pieces. There's one right up here. We've got a second that goes from the corner all the way down to the floor, and the same thing on the other side. While we are over here in the corner, we can talk about the outlets and the reading lights that we like to put standard next to our bench and dinette. Outlets because we are a technological society and need to be charging and connected all the time. Reading lights are just a nice feature for in bed, either getting in bed, reading, playing games, whatever you want to do in bed. There is also a convenient USB port right underneath so that you can plug in your mobile devices. And as to be expected, this is on a gooseneck. It is dimmable by pressing and holding. I'll go down to the bottom of its range, let go, press and hold again, and then it'll go up to the top of its range. We also have some 3D printed catches right here for the light, just to keep it from flopping around while you're driving, just help that gooseneck last a little bit longer. So now that we are in the back of the van, we may as well talk about the back of the van. Obviously, we have a dinette here. This may look like a lagoon leg, but we are not fans of the lagoon leg. This is an easy reach leg. The biggest difference between the two companies are the locking mechanisms that they put on the articulating parts of the table. I am not a fan at all of the twist, adjust lock style on the lagoon legs. If you have one, you know what I'm talking about. Whereas on the easy reach table here, we've got nice cam locks. So to loosen up this pivot, we just open up this latch. To tighten it, we close it. If that's not tight enough, I can open it up, tighten this screw right here, and now I've got a tighter cam lock. So if you're watching this video, then this layout should look pretty familiar, right? We've got our two benches on either side. We've got the table in the middle. If you want to turn it into bed mode, take the table off, remove the table leg. The table will come down and sit on this ledge right here. And then we've got a couple leaves to sit forward and aft of that. And then our back cushions right here will both meet in the middle on top of our table and the two leaves, at which point we have a nice queen size bed. A couple inches shy of a queen size bed, lengthwise, widthwise, just about exactly a queen size bed. Now, if you're looking at the back, you can see this might be a little bit different, as much as we all recognize the dinette sleeper. Not many people have seen the raised ones, and you don't have to commit to a raised one. We do have a lower option, but the reason why we did this is because originally when we came up with this layout, it was for someone who needed a lot of storage. They were going to be living in their van and they needed storage. Well, a lot of times what you see is these benches are, you know, down on the floor, and there are upper cabinets up here for people to store things in. But if you look at our upper cabinets, you know, these are pretty much the same size as any other camper van companies. Those are much smaller than this section right here. We easily have double space in the bench than we would in an upper in the same section. And to demonstrate, I'll open this up and just show you how much space there actually is. Okay, so with the cushions off and the bench up, you can see there is tons of storage in here. We don't have anything in here right now, of course, because it's just a new build waiting for someone to fill it up. But all of this space is storage for your goodies. Okay, so you might be asking, that's great. I've got a bunch of storage up here and a bunch of storage over here. What is down in the lower section? Well, of course, right between the middle, we've got a little garage section. So anything kind of long and skinny, golf clubs, snowboards, skis, those types of things, perfect to fit under there. We have this one open, but very easy to cap that off, so you don't have to worry about things rolling through the van. Now, inside the benches, we have utilities, and utilities can take up a lot of room. So that was the reason why we ended up doing the split bench. Yes, we wanted the storage, but we had to put a bunch of utilities in here, and then we had to figure out storage. So in order to give that particular client as much storage as possible, we came up with this layout, and it's been pretty popular with our customers, at least those who, you know, want more storage. So I'm not going to go into all of the details of the power systems. We have other videos on those. We've got an EcoFlow 5 kilowatt power kit right here, this being our AC breakers and DC fuses. And then this lower section, we've got a 22-gallon wheel well water tank, a 12-volt water pump and pressure accumulator. There is a 12-volt 4-gallon water heater all the way up towards the front. Right in back here, we've got our freshwater fill. And then we have an auxiliary shower where we can connect a quick tap hose to, and we've got hot and cold water for showering or just rinsing something off. Last but not least, you can see we do, of course, have some matching inserts on our doors here And we've got matching ones for the sliding door as well. And of course, just like everything else in our kits, those panels will come unfinished as well. So again, you want to polyurethane, you want to stain, you want to paint, you want to wrap, you want to laminate, choice is yours. Now, while we are not doing the upholstery ourselves here, we do have upholstery partners. So if you're buying a bench kit from us and you don't want to do your own cushions, your own mattress, your own pillows, upholstery, whatever, we will have those available for purchase as well. At which point you can just contact us and we'll talk about materials, make sure that you get the right one. Well, all right, everyone, that about wraps it up for this tour video of Basecamp with Vamonos Vans. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm so excited about this. We've teased and leaked this, and we have a few people already sending us email. We've got a lot of people sending us emails already about when these kits are going to be available, how can they get them, how can they customize them, all that kind of stuff. So again, if this is something that is exciting to you and you want to put something like this in one of your vans, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get those notifications. Follow us on Instagram at Vamonos Vans, and then check us out on our website at vamonosvans.com. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.